Hey, good morning, everybody. So it's Friday, the 2nd of July, and we've got some important events coming up for our lives. That's called the weekend. It's also uh, our independence as a nation. I don't want to make this political. I'm not going to make this political. This is about the great country of America, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. I'm just going to give you mine about the things that make our country so phenomenal and so great. And that is our independence. That is the ability for me to think like I want to, and for you to think like you want to. And we don't have to agree. That's what is so phenomenal about what's going on here in America. Isn't that cool the way that cup doesn't show up? But what I want to tell you guys is that that is what we all have the ability to have is not only independence, as a free person that can think like we want to and can enjoy the freedoms of this nation. But we have that independence built into ourselves that through entrepreneurship, you can do on your own. You are making choices to allow other people to put their expectations and their burdens on you. You have the ability to be independent from everyone else as far as what you want in your life. You have the ability to make sure that you have the ability to do what you want, to think what you want, to act like you want, to say what you want. That through entrepreneurship. And so when you do that, you make those choices. See, that's the fantastic thing about this country is it allows you to make those choices. It allows you to decide who you want to work for, where you want to worship, what you want to do to educate your children, if you want to have children, how many children you want to have. But those choices are yours and those can never be taken away. Those should never be taken away. And as the founding fathers made so certain a long time ago, that we kept those inalienable rights in our flawed state, in the nation that we have that has made so many mistakes over history, we still hold those truths to be self-evident. And in that, that belongs to you. Guys, that is the choice today to choose. Do I want to work for somebody? Do I want to start a business? Do I want to start a romance with this person? Do I want to build a relationship with these guys? Do I want to buy this car? Do I want to sell this house? What do I want to do? And all of those things are part of what makes this nation so incredible, so phenomenal, and something that only happens right here. See, most people don't understand the level of freedom that we have. And it's not about big things, it's about everything. It's about the ability to decide all of your choices. And when I look at that as a business owner, the freedom that I have to create a business, to reward my employees, to reward my business partners, to do all of those things are all my choices. They're not dictated to me by someone else. They're not part of somebody else's master plan. And when I look at that from the standpoint that I do as a business owner, it helps me to feel phenomenal about this country. See, I realize that we have a lot of social problems. We've got injustice everywhere. That happens all around the world. But instead of focusing on the injustice, I'm going to ask you to focus on what's fantastic about this country. The fact that you can actually protest that injustice, the fact that you can disagree with what I agree with. That's a phenomenal thing. And what I hope that we can do as we take the time on this Independence Weekend is take the time to realize that your independent opinion is definitely yours, and mine will be different. On some issue somewhere, we are never going to completely align. And when we try and make everyone completely align with us, we get into some dangerous areas and we get into the weeds. We get into a place where we have hate speech going on all the time. We have people condemning people for their beliefs, for their political beliefs, for their religious beliefs, for their socioeconomic beliefs. Those aren't things that we should be judging people on. We should be working together to find common ground in our independence as some of the most free people in the human race. See, we have those opportunities. Instead of squandering them on arguments, we need to squander those or use those on conversations. We need to use those to build each other up. We need to use those to have complex conversations about what are we going to do about it. See, I grew up in a very different place than most people. I grew up with very different parents than a lot of people. And in that, I don't have the grid for what you do. But that doesn't mean I'm right and you're wrong. It just means that after a conversation, we can sit down and we can agree on a lot of things. We can come up with a plan on most things, and we can find something that we can actually agree on. And that usually is the fact that you're a human being with a voice that has your own opinions, and that is what is so phenomenal. See, when I go out and I decide I want to build another project, and I decide this is the place I'm going to do it in, and this is where my property is going to go, and this is how I'm going to do it, all of those things become my choices that I get to work through, that I get to involve investors with, that I get to involve the city planners with, that I get to involve the community with. I get to talk about all this, and everybody gets a voice in what I do. Every time we do a development project, everybody gets a voice in what I do. And when they have that voice, we've hopefully, through a collective, came up with the best thing to do in that neighborhood, came up with the best thing for our community, came up with the best thing for our city, when everyone's voice is weighed and the growth of the city is identified. And that's been done through long range planning and a lot of different things. And so at the end of the day, with everybody sitting around a table getting their voice heard, we could all come to the conclusion that this is what will be best for the collective. Then after that, I move forward. I go build my project according to those plans. We rent them out. We involve our passive investors. People are making money. People are having places to live. People are having places to start businesses. All of those things are happening on a regular basis through a collective environment where everybody got the opportunity to have a voice and to talk about it. And that is only done here in America, only done to the extent that we do it right here in the United States. And that is because of this independence that we got all those years ago. So instead of taking the time to protest what is going on, let's take our independent abilities and let's apply them in a way that creates a change in what we want. See, it's not important that what I identify as the number one thing that America has to change be the same as yours. What is important is how much effort am I going to put into making those changes happen in the America that I live in the community that I'm involved in the socioeconomic bracket that I float in. And it doesn't mean that we can't be concerned about other things, but everybody needs a primary focus. And if everybody picked one thing and got to focus on that one thing and started putting effort into that one thing, not about screaming at other people, not about using my freedom of speech to tell you what is wrong with you, but my freedom of speech to tell others what I do like, and do it in a way that promotes activity, that grows communities, that brings things together, that helps people understand what their opportunities really are here in America. See, guys, this, as the greatest nation on earth, has the biggest problems on earth. The problem with free speech is we have so many people saying so many different things, and that's because we have this thing called free speech. If we could eliminate free speech, there would be one voice, and it would be that of what the ruling party wanted us to hear. In a lot of cases, that is happening a lot with where we're getting our information, how that's being filtered before it gets to us. But we still have the independence that resides in the 6 inches between our ears. And that is something that no one should ever give up. That is something that we were given as a right here in this country. And that is something that I celebrate with you. And I hope that you choose over the next 3 days to take the time to celebrate this weekend that independence that we were given. That independence like no other on the planet has ever experienced. That kind of ability to have the freedom to walk and talk and do what it is you choose to do. You are limited only by your personal beliefs in most cases. I'm not encouraging anybody to commit any crimes, right? But the reality is we live in such a phenomenal nation that allow us so many choices. And I would challenge you to stop focusing on what is wrong with this nation. Start believing in what is right with this nation and put your hands to work doing things that will change the things that you find to be the biggest problems. CNN is not your problem. Fox News is not your problem. Trump is not your problem. Biden is not your problem. They start much smaller than that in your own communities. And I would ask each and every one of you to take a step toward making a better America and get out there and do something on your own that you believe in. Thank you, guys. God bless America.